Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are digging into a huge question. How do we really know if we can trust the results of any test? We're talking about everything from a final exam to a personality assessment, so let's break down what actually makes a test trustworthy.
You've been there, right? You answer a few random questions about your favorite movies and what you'd pack for a desert island, and then suddenly some website spits out a result that makes you go, wait, what?
You get a result like this, and you just know it's completely meaningless. But believe it or not, this goofy example points to a really serious problem in the world of measurement. How do we tell the difference between a test that's telling us something true and useful and one that's just, well, sea cucumber level nonsense? Well, the answer to that problem has a name: validity. Put simply, validity is all about whether a test actually measures what it says it's measuring. If a math test is valid, it's really measuring your math skills. If it's not, then your score is pretty much worthless. But here's the thing. Before we can even begin to ask if a test is accurate, we have to clear a more basic hurdle first. We have to make sure it's at least consistent. And this brings us to a really important distinction that trips a lot of people up.
And that's the difference between reliability and validity. Just think of it like this. Reliability is all about consistency. Does the test give you stable, repeatable results time after time? Validity, on the other hand, is about accuracy. Are those results actually correct? An unreliable test is like a bathroom scale that's just totally busted. You step on it once, it says 150 pounds. You step on it again, it says 20. A third time, 300. Those numbers are just random noise. They don't measure anything, and because of that, they can't possibly be valid.
Now here's where it gets interesting. A test can actually be reliable without being valid. Imagine that scale again, but this time it's just been set up wrong, so it always adds exactly 5 pounds. It's perfectly reliable. It will tell you the same wrong weight every single time. It's consistent, but it is definitely not accurate. So here's the bottom line, the huge takeaway. Reliability is the first non-negotiable step for validity. A test absolutely must be consistent before it even has a chance of being accurate. If the scores are just jumping all over the place, they can't possibly be meaningful. Okay, so if reliability is just step one, how do test creators go about proving that their test is actually valid? Well, they don't just declare it valid. They build a case, piece by piece, by gathering evidence that answers 3 core questions. These 3 questions are the bedrock of any argument for a test's validity. And to really see how this works in practice, let's imagine we're building a brand new test, a super important final exam for a top-tier culinary school. So first things first, we have to look at the test itself. Do the questions we've written for our exam actually represent all the different skills a graduating chef is supposed to have mastered? This idea right here is what we call content validity. We're basically asking if the test is a fair sample of the entire subject. This is absolutely crucial for any kind of achievement test, like a final exam or the test you take to get a professional license. So, for our culinary exam, we can't just ask 50 questions about how to make a basic sauce. That wouldn't be right. The test has to cover the whole shebang: knife skills, baking, food safety, plating, and really importantly, the number of questions on each topic should reflect how much time was spent teaching it. Okay, great. Let's say our test covers all the right material. But so what? Do the scores actually mean anything once you leave the classroom? We have to check if they connect to some kind of real-world result. This is where something called criterion validity comes in. It's all about looking for a statistical link, a correlation between the score on our test and some other meaningful benchmark out there in the world. That benchmark is what we call the criterion. And what's really cool is we can do this in 2 ways. We can check the now with something called concurrent validity. Do the test scores line up with how the instructors rate their students' kitchen skills right now? Or we can play the long game with predictive validity. Do the students with high scores today go on to become successful head chefs 10 years from now? All right, this brings us to the final and honestly the deepest and most important question of all. Our tests might cover the right topics, and it might even predict who gets a job, but is it really measuring the complex, invisible idea we actually care about? This question gets us into the world of constructs. A construct is just a term for an abstract, invisible trait that we can't directly see or touch, but that our theories tell us is real. I'm talking about things like intelligence or anxiety or creativity. All of these are constructs. We talk about them all the time. We know they exist. But you can't put a tape measure on hope or weigh aggression on a scale. So we build tests to try and capture them. And construct validity is all about gathering evidence that our test is truly tapping into that specific, invisible quality we're trying to measure. So now we've got these different types of evidence floating around, from the test's content, from real-world results, from our underlying theory. How does it all fit together? Well, modern measurement experts kind of have a one-ring-to-rule-them-all way of looking at it. The way the experts see it now is that validity is really just one single big idea. And that one validity is construct validity. All those other types we talked about, they're just different kinds of evidence we use to build that main argument. So think back to our culinary test. When we check to make sure it has the right questions, that's really just evidence that we're measuring the construct of culinary expertise. When we check if it predicts who becomes a great chef, that's also evidence for that same exact construct. It all points to the same goal, proving we're measuring the right idea. So if you remember one thing from all this, make it this. A test isn't just valid or not valid. Validity isn't a simple checkbox you tick off. It's a tough, ongoing process of building a strong, persuasive argument, piece by piece, with evidence that's gathered over a long period of time. Which really leaves us with a final question for you. The next time you have to take a personality test for a job or any kind of assessment, think about what you've just learned. What kind of evidence would you need to see to actually believe its results?